My name's John Safstrom, and I'm the Loan Program Manager at the Council of Governments in Salem, Oregon. And my job is, and our job here at the Council of Governments is to provide financing for all small businesses. The topic today is regarding gas station and convenience store businesses, and we have financed those in rural communities, in our urban metro area, where we do them in our metropolitan area. We use primarily 3 loan programs for this, for the financing these types of businesses. One is the SBA 504 loan program that requires a bank to fund at least 50%. And the borrower in this case, since it is a special purpose type of asset, has to have at least 15%. If it's a startup, it's 20% equity into it. And equity in this case would probably be cash. We have another loan program that is designed for rural communities, and we can use this also in conjunction with the 504 loan program. But on the smaller projects, we've used this financing, and it's similar. A bank would do 50%. The loan program can do between 30 and 40%, and the borrower picks up the difference. The types of convenience store gas stations have been from small projects of about, we call small, about $500,000 total. A lot of those were projects that involved rehabilitating or upgrading all of the pumping and the tanks and whatnot to comply with the DEQ requirements, and then to upgrade at the same time. Sometimes there are transitions of ownerships at the same time this is happening. Sometimes it's construction of all entirely new facilities. As far as appraisals, I guess, and that's what we're going to talk about today, the types of appraisals that we need and what are the most helpful for us. What are the potentials for competitors over time? That's something we like to see, or at least I like to see, and it's part of the idea of the longevity of the viability of the business. Let's go a lot of words there, but that's about it. With that, we also like to see an appraisal a little bit of regional and also statewide and also local concentrations of similar businesses, and with that, if there's along with that, certain demographics. And from what we've learned, the C-store, gas station, or the oil industry, there's no limit of information that they have. And it does help us, especially in vetting the business plans, especially if there's an expansion and a significant amount of money that's involved in the lending side. And along with that, I'll refer to my notes here. What we like to see is the capture rate for the C-stores, how many cents, either on regional, county-wide, or specifically, we want to compare that to what our borrower is projecting. The margins per gallon of gasoline, the in-store margins. That's kind of interesting because the in-store margins will give us an idea, how efficient, you might say, some of the competitors are. In rural communities, that may not be the same as in more of a metropolitan type of setting. So we have to jump back and forth between those things. The average sales per square foot of the store, that seems to be somewhat of a meaningful determination for us, especially when we look at sizing the physical building and fitting them on some of the lots, because some of the lots are irregular, and that's what has to be developed. You just can't have a perfect lot to develop with the land use planning and the ability to buy or aggregate lots within a small community. And then, of course, in our area, we have the Oregon Department of Transportation demographics. How many cars drive by? What's the traffic count? Along with that, when it comes to gasoline retailing, now more and more we see, even in the smaller communities and out towards the edges, what do they call them? The hyper retailers are coming in, such as Safeway, Costco, and Albertsons in this area. But in the smaller communities, they're somewhat insulated from that. But on the way out to the smaller communities, there are these stores, and we do know that people will drive to these discount grocery stores that now have discount gasoline. So we factor all this in, at the same time knowing that in rural communities and some gas station C-stores within our metropolitan area, they will always have a market niche. And I'm getting on this repayment side, and I guess that's it. So we want to make sure that over the long term that there'll be enough of a repayment ability and margins within the business to service our debt. I guess you might say we're more driven by the income approach. And so along with we know that the costs sometimes will be more because of systems development charges than would be probably in another state or even another jurisdiction. And that's another factor that we've discovered with appraisals. We'll often take what the Marshall-Swift, I guess, is the standard. But the Marshall-Swift, at least in our analysis, doesn't include adequately the costs for development, which would be the systems development charges and the other fees that are involved. So we want to have a business that can service the debt through the income approach, but also one that we can finance and reflects accurately the costs, the true costs of it, because we finance the true costs, and the true costs include systems development charges. In fact, those are often the first paid. And at the same time, what their pricing model, however they may construct it, their pricing model is adequate to derive a profit. And a lot of people would rather, I guess, not address that part of their business plan, their pricing model. I think they want to go along with what their competitors are doing and what they seem as fair, especially in the rural communities. We look for people that understand that they have to get enough of a return to pay themselves for a quote management fee to themselves, at the same time provide a service and service their debt. And with that, we want them to see, like I said, to summarize this, is that they do make a profit and they have those abilities. And it can be, it doesn't matter how old they are, how young they are, which gender they are. We really don't care. We want to make sure that they're profitable, and we don't discriminate for profitability.